Hello and welcome back to another video, and today we're here playing Ride 6 for the first time. Now, the only things I actually have done on this game before playing this video was the initial setup. So I did the initial race in the arcade mode that it makes you do. I then accepted the challenge to go and do it in pro mode that it does at the end of that, because I kind of wanted to back-to-back them and get a bit of a feel for what it was. I actually didn't win the arcade mode one as well, which was quite funny, because the assists that were on were just messing me up with the gears, and I was trying to play about with them a little bit into one of the corners, cut to curb, down I went, and it was only a 2-lap race, so I wasn't quite able to get the victory, but on the pro mode I did win quite comfortably. Then off the back of that, you get to pick your bike, and that is where we are today. I obviously picked the R7. I don't think we're going to be using that in today's video. I think what I am going to do is I'm going to head to time trial on some sort of loaned super bikes. It's a bit more my kind of speed, what I'm used to, and we'll dive in and see what I think to the physics. So I decided to come to Portimao because I think this is a good track to test the physics of the games, because one of the things that crops up a lot in milestone games the last few years, probably since like MotoGP 22 potentially, is the fact that through turn 5 the bike just does not turn at Portimao. So the fact Portimao's in this game gives us the perfect excuse to go and test that. Now it's actually interesting here, we're in the box a bit like in MotoGP, so it does look like they've brought a few things across, which is interesting, because obviously previously in the ride games you never sort of had a pick box kind of atmosphere like this. So here we are then on the track with the Ride Fest BMW, because of course got to go for that proper Ride Fest vibe that this game is going for. Obviously all the hood, wow, okay, straight away the sense of speed is pretty incredible on the superbike, obviously compared to what I was on in the tutorial, which was the KTM, and I've completely overcooked that to turn 1. That is not a good start. I think I know what my problem was with that one. Got my ABS on. That was one thing I noticed in the sort of the tutorial race as well, that the ABS is pretty horrible. You don't want it on at all. But I mean, it does its job, don't get me wrong, it basically does what you'd expect ABS to do, but obviously you don't really want to use ABS on a race bike, so it causes you a lot of trouble. So that's part of the problem, although so is my riding ability here as we go into turn 5, and you know what? That turned pretty well. I'm not going to lie, that did turn quite well. Obviously it's not been the ideal first lap, but as always with these games, when they first come out, you do need a few laps to sort of get up to speed with them, and we've had this first crash as well, so that is perfect. Obviously it's not my first crash on the game, I think it's my second with that silly mistake in the sort of the tutorial race, but first like proper crash where I feel like I genuinely made just an error. So I think what I'll do is I'll do a few laps, sort of maybe just mention a thought or two as I go through them, and then I'll perhaps do a little bit of gameplay with just the sounds as well, because of course, just like MotoGP 25, this is now in the Unreal Engine 5, which means the graphics, I mean, the graphics are phenomenal. They look a lot better than the MotoGP game in my opinion, so I think they're really starting to find their feet with UE5 now. It's their second title in it, if I'm not mistaken. It's a second bike game title, such as this anyway. And yeah, again, the sense of speed on the straight is incredible on this bike. That is something I see people mention a lot about bike games. You don't feel like you're going that fast. Well, tell you what, on that front straight at Algarve, definitely does feel like that. But like I said, graphically looks good. The sounds also seem a bit improved as well, just like MotoGP 25. Like I said, I'll do a couple of laps now, and then I'll let you know my thoughts, and then perhaps do some just pure gameplay after that. So I've done a few laps now, and I'm starting to get the hang of it. Obviously, it's going to take me a little bit of time, like I said, to get fully up to speed, and I'm still making quite a few mistakes, but I've definitely got some thoughts, and straight away, it's not what I expected at all. I am very impressed. Very, very, very impressed. This feels very, very different to any other milestone game I've played, even MotoGP 25, which I thought it would probably have its kind of roots in that, or at least Ride 5. I thought it would be like one of the two of them. Or maybe GP25 with the first UE5 game, it would kind of take that kind of physics across, or just kind of port Ride 5 to Unreal Engine 5, but no, that's not what's happened at all. I was like I already said about the graphics and the sounds, they made a big step, but the physics for me have made a huge step. I mean, Ride 5, I never really got on with much. I mean, I've never massively got on with the ride games, if I'm completely honest. They've never quite suited me. I like to play them when they first come out, but, you know, after a few hours, I kind of get a bit bored. But I don't think that's going to be the case with this one, because I just don't know how to even describe it other than it's just so much more sort of realistic. There's so much more stuff to have to manage. One thing that I really wanted to test here was does the bike sort of have that limit of turning still? So actually, I'll show you now into this corner. If I don't blow the braking zone, actually I'll brake. It's probably a bit too early there, but it'll give you a good example. Into here, look at that. I actually turned into the corner. And people that play all the milestone games, watch my videos, you'll know exactly what I mean just by saying that. I'll perhaps try and find some footage of me doing it on another game, maybe like Ride 5 or something like that, to stick in here as well. But for me, that's been a constant problem for years, that there's been this kind of maximum amount of turning, and there you go, sort of prime example. That's kind of gone now. You actually can overload the front quite easily, and it's something I've been doing a lot, because again, this is not something I'm used to having to manage in a milestone game. I finally feel like I have more, well, I say more control because I'm a bit behind the bike at the moment, but I feel like my inputs have a bit more of an impact. I can kind of get the bike to turn if I really need it to. I can kind of balance on the edge of the grip. Whereas Ride 5 and the games before, I felt like there was a massive sort of input lag. Like, you kind of make a movement and it'd be a little bit of time before the rider kind of reacted to it. Especially with the turning, I always felt like there was a hard stop. Like, you could only turn so much and then the games would not turn any further. And that corner, and also Catalunya turn 10 on the MotoGP games, is a brilliant example because it's such a tight corner that comes back on itself. Anything like that does usually expose that problem, but Ride 6 doesn't seem to have it. So I was also playing around with the electronic settings on some of my laps as well, and they seem to make quite a big difference. The traction control I've turned down, I don't know if it's 1 or 2 settings, I haven't felt much difference with that, but the engine braking, when I played with that, I braked it to turn 1 on one lap with it all the way up to 4, because it started off on 0, you might have noticed it changed between the cuts. But it started off with 0, which I think in milestone games is usually like wrong. In real life, 0 engine braking would be the maximum you can get, but in the milestone games it's always a bit backwards, so that's probably the least you can get, 0. But I whacked it up to 4, and when I went to turn 1, the back end started snaking. In fact, I'll whack it up here and I'll show you. Hopefully it'll happen, otherwise I'll look like a bit of an idiot. Here we go, out the last corner then. Up towards the line. Actually, where is the line on this track? It is in the right spot, so that's good. I think it probably was in the last ride game as well, but it's always a good one to check. So we go into here, look at that rear end. It's actually not too bad. So maybe kind of take back a little bit what I said, but there was one lap. I'll probably put the clip in now. Where I put the engine braking up and it absolutely, the rear was slipping and sliding, and I've lost the front again into turn 2. I've done that quite a few times, I can assure you that. I think that's probably one of those corners where you just have to be really, really careful. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Really, really am. A lot of the stuff from the previous milestone games is gone. It's basically my biggest takeaway, and it does feel a lot more like you're sort of riding a bike, a lot more like you're in control. The fact I'm making so many mistakes, I think, kind of proves that point. I mean, it's always a little bit like that in these first impression videos. I do sometimes worry that's the only video people will see of me and then be like, wow, this guy's not very good. But obviously when you're first riding the game, you're going to make mistakes, especially when I'm trying to push the bike a little bit here to give you guys some feedback. But yeah, honestly, the bike just feels like it's moving around a lot more. I feel like I've got more turning on the bike. I feel like I can actually overlean. Well, it's not like I feel like I actually can overload the front, as you've seen me do a few occasions already. So from the physics side, very positive so far, and I will now try and shut up for a lap and give you hopefully a decent lap with the sound. Hopefully try and do some good racing lines for you as well. So there you go then, a clean lap in the end. I actually had a front end save on that lap, so yeah, it wasn't the best, but I got through all the corners relatively okay. I think that's a good enough one for to show off the gameplay and the sounds. But yeah, honestly, I am so impressed so far. Really, really impressed. I heard good things in the couple of days that the pre-order bonus was out. Obviously, I didn't have, and I'd heard good things from people that I actually sort of trust the opinion of, rather than, you know, kind of the random journalists that will play the game once a year and then sort of never play a bike game again until the next ride comes out. But I didn't expect this. I really didn't. So yeah, honestly feels quite good, and I think I'll probably go back to the main menu and sort of sum up my thoughts from everything I've played so far. So having enjoyed the physics so much in that little bit there that I was playing at Portimao, I do just want to talk a little bit about the arcade physics that I did try. Now, I think I will do a full video on them, just like I did on MotoGP 25, to kind of show off what they're like. But I will say, from what I did play, they are much closer to the pro physics than the arcade physics were in MotoGP 25. That game, you were like really fast, you could take ridiculous corner speed, whereas here for me it felt grounded. It felt like it kind of takes that edge of difficulty off this pro mode, but you're still approaching the corners at a similar speed. Yeah, you can brake a bit deeper, and obviously you can brake deeper into the corner, therefore if you're good enough at the game you're going to be able to exploit it. But obviously you're probably going to be playing the pro physics if you're that sort of level of rider anyway. But I think it'll give you more of a real experience, but also still with that easy factor of the front end being a bit more stable and things like that. So arcade versus pro so far, I do like that balance a lot more. Obviously the game looks phenomenal. This is coming from someone that plays GP bikes all the time, so for me graphics is not a selling point of the game. If it looks like crap but had the best physics in the world, I would be playing it. But of course that is one thing that Milestone always do pretty well, the graphics, sounds. But the one thing that I did notice in the little bit of gameplay I've had, and that was more when I was first setting up, the customization is certainly lacking a little. So if we come and have a look at this riding style, there are like 3 options now. There's old school, shoulders out, and balanced. That's it. I mean, at least give us all the ones from the MotoGP game. I get that for motard and for off-road you might have less, you might have different options, because I think you can still pick, yeah, so you can still pick for those different modes. But why is there only 3 options? That's one thing that I noticed. Obviously you still get the braking leg and the feet and the braking fingers and stuff, but the fact there was only those options was a little bit weird. And then when I was going through the kit, picking my rider as well, I struggled to find good kit, really. Now again, for me, it's not a make or break. I don't care that much. I actually care about the riding style more than the gear, I would say. But it also doesn't bother me. I'll play with whatever riding style, I'll play with whatever gear. It's about the physics for me. But since that is one of the things of Ride, is that you kind of have it kind of your way, especially now with all the extra disciplines and stuff. The fact there's a little bit less customization on that front is a bit of a shame. So I just wanted to mention that because it was something that I'd noticed, and I'm sure it's something other people noticed. But those are my initial thoughts of Ride 6 so far. Very much enjoying it. Probably will do a few more videos on it this year than I typically do, because I am enjoying it so much, and we've got that little lull between now and probably the next MotoGP game coming out. It's not even announced yet, but we know it'll probably be coming out around April, May time, so a couple of months there, so plenty of time to get stuck into some Ride 6 stuff. But hopefully you guys did enjoy that one. If you are new to my channel, please do like the video and subscribe. It really does help me out. And of course, it is a win-win for both of us, as you get some more bike game racing content in your subscription feed. I hope you do enjoy the rest of your day, and I shall see you in the next one.